Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Jay, and I want to say happy Saturday and happy Craft Roulette process video. And next week, you'll have to tell me if you want one or not because I'll actually be on Craft Roulette. So let me just officially invite you. Boom. So next Friday, aka Valentine's Day at 6:10 Central, I'll be over on the Craft Roulette YouTube channel. We have our Friday paper crafting challenge, so that'll be fun. And if you haven't participated, I invite you to do so. And if somehow you are watching this process video and don't know anything about Craft Roulette, there is links to their site and a bunch of other. And my original appearance, I said my original appearance, my second appearance on a Craft Roulette thing, which was the community showcase quite recently. So anyway, let's talk about this week. Here we go. You can see the parameters across the top of the screen for episode 253. Need a card with three folds. Colors are sweater inspired. Footwear is a requirement, which made me think of this really cute spring collection. This is from not too shabby. There's spring tulip, something like that. But it's got some great boots, as well as characters wearing boots. So we'll figure out that what we want to do with the ephemera later. But um, but that's where my footwear came in. And then post-its, even though it is saying bows. Hopefully editing me will correct that. Okay, we're back, and now it says the correct thing. It is post-it, and there's a lot of different ways you could use a post-it. I'm probably going to use it as a technique more than an actual element on the card, but let us get started with that now. So let me tell you the kind of card we were going to make. I wanted to really do a WV fold because it's one of my favorites, and I thought it would work well considering I had some pattern paper and ephemera already, so it seemed fitting to do a slightly more complicated card. So I will walk you through some pieces quick. So these are 1.5 by 5. There are four of them. And then there are two squares. These are just 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And then we have a matte piece. It's a little smaller than normal. This is 5 by 3 3/4. So the card itself is actually a little bit unique in that way. We have a one of our pieces is 6 by 3 in a fabulous light green. Look how nicely it coordinates. Very springy. I'm in a springy mood today. If you're not in a springy mood, I'm sorry, but this is going to be a very springy card. Anyway, 3 by 6 card in the middle. Basically, it just makes a little mini card, which is why we have those matting pieces. And then the last piece is 5 1/4 by 11, and there are a bunch of score lines in it, which may or may not read on camera, but let me walk you through um, the details there. So this is scored at 1 3/4, 3.5, 5 1/4, and 7, which gives us this 4 by 5 1/4 card. And the reason the measurements are a little wonky on this is basically so you can get it out of a single piece of 8.5 by 11, because you get all this can be cut from one, so it's very paper efficient. And we're going to basically accordion fold this to get the W part, and then we are going to fold this in half to get the V. But before then, let us play with our post-it notes. I'm just gonna bring in some, this is old label paper, but it's gonna work really nice to ink blend on. And what I want to do is just sort of offset this so I can bring in a little more blue. Because as you see, we've got kind of a blue-green springy color thing going on. And what I want to do is just use my post-it note to just sort of mask so I can do effectively like a drop shadow. And the nice thing about it is because it's a post-it note, you can just sort of reposition it until you get it where you want it, which I think I am pretty happy with this. We are just going to knock this over one little bit, and the post-it will actually stick down a little bit, so this should keep all of our blending in together. Gonna grab some Oh Boy because it is still and always my favorite blue because it is a very sort of it is a very springy blue, very light. So we can, if we want, we can kind of just sort of get a little excess off, and then I just want to bring in some blue just to sort of give us a little more blue on the inside. And I'll just turn this because that's the nice part as well about having this as a sticky note. And of course, if you look at Mary's card from last night, you can use the sticky notes as an element. The other thought I had for sticky notes, if you want to use it as more of an element, is you could really use some of those. There's some really nice planner stamps that do a faux sticky note. So you could use that as sort of, if you wanted to do kind of more of a planner themed card, put that back. And the magic of the sticky note, to get rid of that, is that we have a really nice edge on here now. I'm not planning to put a sentiment on here, but I would put it kind of, I would center it in the white piece if I did that. Like Happy Spring would be a nice one if that's your jam. Just let that dry and we can work on putting the rest of the card together, which typically I like to, it doesn't really matter which piece you do first. Let's do this in the opposite order than I usually do. We'll do the mini card. All you have to do is reinforce the score line because this is going to basically float like this and be your focal point. And then we just attach our little squares. You can do this either with wet glue or dry adhesive. Um, I think I'll do dry adhesive today, but either work. It's just sort of your preference. And you don't need a ton. And you don't necessarily need two of these. If you don't, this is going to be sort of a back piece. So if you don't want to use your pattern paper on the essentially what's the back of a card, that's always a choice. But I think so. This is going to kind of float here, and then this will be on the inside. So I think this will be a really nice look together. As you can see, I didn't get the masking entirely straight, but I think it'll be fine. And if you wanted to, we could certainly do a little decorating. Like in this lower corner, I'm thinking maybe to sort of counterbalance this. I'm looking at our ephemera and I see that we have all manner of butterflies, which seem like they would fit our little spring theme pretty well. So this is the V piece. Let's I really wanted to use, and I think I will. I really like this with the butterfly because it brings both the blue and the green. And what we can do is actually use some foam dimension to pop it up when we are at that point. And then I think that works because then we can use some of these little butterflies on the inside when we're to that point. Because then you'll have sort of the butterfly here, and then I forget, you will be able to see this. So I think having some butterflies here or on the side will be a pretty cool look. So we have more pattern paper, which I will set to the side. Basically, I usually start with I always forget how these folds actually work out. So I usually start with the card base and then you just basically fold it like that. And the reason this one is a little bit shorter is so that you can decide where you want to put your pattern paper. And if you put the pattern paper here, you will actually see it quite nicely. So you can do it either way. You can put it I typically put it on like the sides you see, like I'm at it here. I put one here, but then I'll do the a few extra pieces. I usually do basically what we'll do is attach this card to these two in some manner. So that'll be kind of nice. But I think I will put a piece of pattern paper here and then not put one here and then do the other three. Anyway, let's get that together. And you don't necessarily need to use four pieces of pattern paper for this, depending on your own preferences, of course. I often do because I just sort of collect pattern paper, so I definitely have it around. But and then it's really nice because you can see that little. And I kind of like that because this to me looks very much like a summer sweater that someone would own. So that or a spring sweater, I mean. That's sort of where I was taking some inspiration from. There we go. So this is pretty much directional paper, so I want to make sure that uh, I put it on, right way up. So what I usually do is just fold the card shut and then get the like where I want the front, I want that one to be definitely set up correctly. The back is not as big of a deal. We are going to basically just put a little tape on the bottom and then just close it. But I try to get the front level because that's pretty much what you're going to see. And then we will just do that. And our card is together. And the neat thing about these is they really stand up nicely on their own because of the W and the V piece together. And then all we need to do is put our little focal boots. Let me see if I have. I do not. So we will use our gigantic roll of foam tape, which works equally well. If you had little adhesive dots, I always like adhesive dots for stuff like this. What I'm going to do is just and use your adhesive scissors if you have them because this typically is kind of gluey. Um, there we go. I'm just going to put one there, and I think we are good. There we are. And you could do more adhesive if you wanted to. I'm not really going to worry about it because I don't think this is going to get a tremendous amount of um, like wear and tear because it's just going to be a focal piece. So we will put our little boots here. And once they're down, they're down. And I think I would like some butterflies, maybe up here. Well, there's already one here, so maybe two more butterflies. I think would be nice. But there we go. We have a little spring motif. If you wanted to, you could definitely take some of our scraps of paper and we could do some little additional pieces here. And I'm actually going to leave these open because if we wanted to, we could just float a sentiment here if we decide to make this a specific card. But I think it works really well as just sort of a nice springy card. Anyway, spring sweater colors are sort of our pastel palette that we picked out here. There is footwear, and then we use post-its for our sort of edge technique. And before we leave, I just wanted to invite you again. If you are around on the 14th, please drop by Craft Roulette. I will be happy to see you, and we can all be Valentines. So that'll be the slideshow starts at 6:10 Central, and then the show proper starts at 6:30. So until I see you guys again, have a great one, and hope you have a crafty weekend.